based on the point that we made from the last video, there is a second point we need to make. And please watch the last video first before watching this video. So, we have now understood that everybody does exactly what they have to do. Like nobody does anything that they don't absolutely have to do, according to the last video. What we can do is never to condemn what they have done, but to lead them away, to stop them from continuing doing what they have done. If what they have done is in any way not the best thing they could do. Sorry, I shouldn't say this because everybody does exactly the best that they can do at any given moment. But when we need to try to help people, obviously some people would need some help. You just look at the things that they do and you can see that they need help. And the help we can give to them. Or when we just look around and we encounter people that do things that are just not good, what we can do, and we absolutely shouldn't do, is condemning them for having done the things that they did. Because it doesn't make any sense at all, having known that anything that they have done was absolutely what they definitely need to do. So now condemning them for having done what they did is just nonsense. It doesn't help at all. And you are literally just repeating the same mistake that you used to make all the time before knowing what we discussed in the last video. The right thing, the only correct thing to do when witnessing somebody doing things that are just less than good, like seeing somebody spit, for example, what we can do is to never condemn them for spitting. By not condemning them, we are validating and respecting and recognizing, acknowledging the fact that they absolutely had this necessity to have spit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spit. And we need to try to lead them away from spitting again. In a way, without condemning them, blaming them at all. Without pulling up the past at all, even if it just happened just now. They just spit in front of you. It's still the past. They did it. And we need to do it in a manner without condemning them, blaming them, making them feel like they did something wrong. So what we should say to this person that just spit is really kindly, with no sense of blaming at all. Really politely, like inviting them, welcoming them to not spit again in the future. But the problem is that without firmly establishing the knowledge that we learned from the last video, you always would have become emotional in these situations. When you see somebody spit, you get very angry. When you're angry, you cannot speak to this person without, in this way or another, suggesting that they did something wrong. Not that what they did was right, but what they did wasn't wrong either. They just did what they had to do, and what we need to do is to stop them from doing it again in a way without pulling up the past, without making them feel blamed in any way. And what happens when you directly blame someone or suggestively blame someone, like you don't blame them directly, you just kind of suggest, like the tone that you have in your speech, even if you're not blaming them verbally at all, but the tone you have, or even if you're just blaming them in the back of your mind, they can feel it. They can feel it. They can feel it. You're not fully open. And what that does, what this blaming is about, is invalidating this person's, their life experience. Because whenever you're blaming someone, you're always denying their own truest life experience, like the life they've lived. When you blame someone for something, you are invalidating their own life. Because how can you say that they shouldn't have done what they did? How can you say that? Because you don't know what life has been for them. You've never lived their life. You've never had their thoughts. You've never been conditioned in the way they've been conditioned. Like I said, had you lived their life from the beginning of their birth till this point, like had you experienced every single moment of their life and their thoughts, you would perfectly understand, and not just understand, but you would do exactly what they would do at any given moment. Take the spitter, you would be the spitter in this situation. You would spit just like they did just now. And now, as a total different person, without having lived their life at all, you're blaming them for having spit. You are literally just being really, really arrogant, because you're judging from your own life experience. Because according to your own life experience, being you, right now you wouldn't spit at all. So, judging from your life experience, nobody should spit. And how selfish is that? And look how upside down everybody perceives the world. When somebody spits, you call them the selfish one. But having learned what we've learned, we cannot see it more clearly that we, the judges, the people that judge, are the most selfish ever. And how liberating it is. Now your happiness is no longer in the hands of other people. Like, no matter what people do, it can no longer bother you anymore, as long as you have this point firmly established and always reminded within you. Whenever you are bothered by what somebody does, is when you forget again that they absolutely have to do what they do at any given moment. And had you lived their life being them, you would do exactly whatever they would do at this very moment. And it doesn't mean that they do this and they wouldn't regret it. Like, we all regret a lot of things. Like I said, this subjective necessity of any action that anybody takes is highly time bound, and you'll always remember this, because if you forget about this whole point just becomes confusing to you, because you would just think, okay, I did this and that was absolutely necessary for me to do, and but why do I regret it now? Or you look at somebody that really regrets what they did, and you would just laugh at them. Like, you wouldn't have room for compassion for them, because you just lost this knowledge that this necessity behind the actions that they have taken is time bound. So they had the necessity when taking that action, but right now when they're regretting, they don't have it anymore. And that's why we judge ourselves too. Like, the necessity that I felt when I punched somebody, I no longer feel it anymore right now. So I look at me and I judged me, and I judged me for punching somebody. This is such a crucial point here. The necessity, the subjective necessity, is totally and completely time bound. The point of this video is to show you, to enlighten us, you and me as well, what to do when seeing somebody doing things that are unpleasant. In fact, you don't even need me to tell you what to do. As long as you have that point, this knowledge of knowing that everybody does exactly what they absolutely have to do, you would know what to do. Which is, you would not blame anyone for having done anything at all. You wouldn't. But this is hard because, I'm the one that came up with this, and then I still forget about it. I might be talking about it right now, but when I finish this video, I would just totally forget about it when I see something that upsets me. That's what happened yesterday. I saw somebody saying something on the internet. I immediately got just so mad. I totally forgot that they absolutely had totally lost the knowledge, I might still remember intellectually, but I lost the understanding, the full comprehension of this. So especially when you're emotional, you just, the emotion just tries to keep you in the state. So it would somehow reject thoughts that would drive the emotions away. When I was angry and I tried to remind myself of what I talked about in the last video and in this video, I kind of felt like I don't want to think about that now, because now I'm angry, and because this person said something that was just incredibly stupid, ignorant, and very enraging. That's what happens. So I think I'm just gonna make this kind of videos over and over again, just to make the points crystal clear, and also to repeat them for myself. When you repeat one sentence for 1,000, for a billion times, it would become so true and established in you. Just remind yourself over and over. It's so liberating. Like when you fully realize, when I fully realized that that person absolutely had the necessity, the need to have said what they said. And if I was that person, had I lived their life from their birth to that point, I would have said exactly what they said. And that was just liberating. Another thing though, I have to, it's a different conversation, but still I want to make it, but it's important, so I want to make a side post here. A side note is that when it comes to emotions, you cannot push them away. Like, you need to feel them. You cannot just put them, you can't use this method that I'm talking about here to avoid emotions. Like, when I felt angry, the right thing to do at the moment was to just really feel the emotions, if I could do it. But because anger is a very provoking emotion, so when you're angry, you always would try to do things. Like, maybe if I could, I would just reply to that person and then curse at them, or do things. And when that happens, when you just couldn't just feel the emotions, maybe you can just try to remind yourself of the points that we're making here, and the points we made in the last video, that person absolutely, like, if I was that person, I would have said exactly the same things that they said. And then that would maybe calm the emotions a little, and then would give you the space to be able to now feel the residue of the emotions. And it would just stop you from doing things that you would regret later. Like, had I cursed at that person, I would. I absolutely felt the need to do it, because the post, like the comments, like it wasn't, I couldn't like reply to that message, that comment, because it was all locked. So I didn't. Had I replied to them, I would have been really violent. I probably would have caught them stupid, and I probably just would regret it. If not today, tomorrow I would, maybe, or a month later, or when I remember again the points that I'm making in these two videos. When I remember that had I been them, I would have said exact same things that they said, because it was absolutely necessary for them to have said those things. And what to do though in these situations is the point that I'm making in this video, is to not blame them, but to, in a most conscious way possible, to suggest, to help them stop doing it, repeating the deeds in the future. Like, what could I have said to that person to stop them from thinking the same way? Like to stop them from being to stop them from preventing other people from being who they are, because that person says something against gender equality. What could I have said in a way without blaming them at all that would help them do less of what they did? I don't know. If there is a way, I would do it, but I can't think of the way. I guess they would just have to learn or grow in one another. In this case, then just leave it. in cases where we can absolutely do something, do it. And definitely remember to not blame them, because you will see miracles happen when you try to talk to someone without blaming them at all, not even in the back of your mind. Miracles would happen because they can feel you. They can feel if you're blaming them or not. They can feel your truest intention, because people are extremely sensitive to criticism and judgments, you know? Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many conflicts all around the world and wars. People are very sensitive, no matter how they might look. If you hold any intention to blame them, whatever you would say to them or suggest to them wouldn't work. It might work, but it just wouldn't be as effective. So if you could just totally, fully understand the points that we're making in these videos, then you would understand 100% that they absolutely had the necessity to do what they did. You wouldn't blame them at all, and then you would be able to make a suggestion to them or help them or talk to them in a way without blaming them at all, and it would make a miraculous difference in their life and in yours as well, because you would, you know, we're all so connected, and the difference that you make in the world gets reflected back to you. You would be able to know, you know, in one way or another. And it's just how the world gets changed, you know, when we, every single time when we take an action from our heart, it's changing the world as a whole, because we're all connected from the heart. Any action that we take from the heart, and the heart has the most clarity. The heart knows everything that I've been talking about. Your heart knows that what I'm saying is right, that there is no justified resentment, there is no justified judgments. You can never judge anybody. I saw this line is said by Wayne Dyer, but he didn't really expand on this. He didn't really truly explain this point. And after watching these two videos, you would understand why that's so true. Blaming or judging is denying somebody's life. Because blaming and judging what they do is that, what they show is that you are not at all attempting to understand, but you're trying to decide what a whole different person in front of you should do based on your life experience, you see? And any suggestion that you would give to somebody just wouldn't, they wouldn't listen to you, because whatever you might say might be based on some kindness or because you really want to help, but because it's based on the fact that you're denying their life by blaming them for doing what they did, because you're just not seeing how they absolutely had to do what they did. whatever your words to them are not coming from your heart, but coming from your mind, because your mind, looks and judges. Your heart has this truth, this knowledge, this faith, this absolute knowing that everyone is doing the best that they can, and everyone is trying their best to love, no matter how ridiculous it might sound when you look at what people do. But again, think about what we've been talking about in these two videos, and immediately you would understand how true it is. Everyone absolutely has to do whatever that they choose to do. Like, there's not even really much choice involved. Like, there is choice involved, but still, the choice that they make feels absolutely necessary for them to make. Otherwise, they wouldn't. I mean, the necessity is completely subjective and totally time-bound. Had you been this person, you would do exactly what they do. Had you experienced their life from birth, you would do exactly what they do at this moment. The fact that they are doing what they're doing proves this point. You see? I think this is the end of this video. Thank you for listening.